Abbreviated version of Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen as we come to you across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Go to statesidevodka.com. Use the keyword JAKIB, get 15% off of the Stateside Vodka Soda, the very popular Stateside Vodka Soda. It's a special edition of Football 24/7 as I get ready to lead everybody in tonight to our Thursday night countdown to kickoff, live from Screwballs in King of Prussia. And Johnny Mac, our mission tonight at Screwballs is to will this team to a victory on Sunday so they're not that team. So they're not that first team to lose to the Detroit Lions on Sunday at Ford Field in Detroit.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you lose to an 0-7 team in Philadelphia, it's not going to be good. So I do think, especially after everything that happened this week with the press conference and the flower analogy that everybody took and ran with, yeah, they better win this football game or it will get uglier. But I can tell you from talking to the players today and talking to some people who work for the team behind the scenes, man, nobody took it like the fan base took it. Nobody took it as um, something goofy. In fact, they were all fired up. Now, there were a couple well placed f bombs into the version that you heard when he was reciting that to the players, and everybody left the team meeting really, really fired up. So it sort of had the exact opposite reaction of how everyone took it when they saw him explaining it on the podium. So, and that's all that matters. And by the way, that how it went over to the players and how it went over to the fan base. The problem with this team remains the personnel, remains the schemes, and people who are focused on that press conference are missing the card in the game of three card Monty. They're picking the wrong. They're looking at the wrong card. They're not looking at the right card.
Johnny, let's talk about the quarterback for the Detroit Lions. And the reason I want to talk about Jared Goff is because the scheme that the Eagle defense is playing is making quarterbacks look like rock stars. Just look at Derek Carr's numbers a week ago. Should we anticipate, should we expect Jared Goff to look better, do more, or what will we see from him?
Well, I think, some of the quarterbacks the Eagles have made look like rock stars are rock stars. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, most notably. Derek Carr's a very good quarterback as well. Certainly not in their category, but he can hurt you and certainly is sort of a streak shooter when he gets hot and uh, but that's no excuse. You should never let any quarterback complete 90% of his passes. Um, Jared Goff has the ability to complete 80% of his passes against this defense he's been playing. He's a very accurate quarterback if you allow him to sit back in the pocket, um, get his footwork together. He's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league unless you get him off his spots. Now the problem with the Lions though is they don't have any receivers. They have nothing at receiver. Um, so that's the biggest issue. This will be the worst receiving group the Eagles will see all season by a wide margin, and it's probably the only receiving group where you go into the game and say, well, the Eagles have the edge at receiver because the Eagles aren't very good at receiver either. That's how bad the Lions are at receiving.
A little bit later on here on the Countdown to Kickoff show from Screwballs, we anticipate and are excited to have a conversation with DeAndre Swift's father, local kid from St. Joe's Prep. How dangerous is DeAndre Swift in this football game, John?
Yeah, I think there's two players you got to concern yourself with, and that's DeAndre Swift and at running back, and also they have a very good tight end in TJ Hawkinson. So if I just talked about their receivers. Khalif Raymond has been their top receiver. He's got 26 receptions. DeAndre Swift leads the team with 42. So they try to get him the ball in space as many times as they can. And he's turned into one of the better receiving backs in the NFL. Some of that, as I said, is out of necessity because the passing game is built around him and TJ Hawkinson, who I mentioned, a tight end who's got 38 receptions. So you got to deal with him. And I should also bring up Jamal Williams. They have two very good running backs in Swift and Jamal Williams who kind of go back and forth. Williams is probably the more explosive runner of the two, but they're both good backs, and DeAndre certainly the better pass catcher. And so when you talk about the Lions and their offense, you really want to focus in on those three particular players.
What's the matchup look like, John, in terms of will the Eagles' front four on defense get home? Will they get great pressure on Goff? I'm trying to jugger it from memory. I think Javon Hargrave is, for the first 4 or 5 games, was in the spotlight. Now the last couple of games, I haven't heard so much. What do you expect there?
Well, the Lions, they're an 0-7 team. So, probably their best player, their best overall player, and arguably the best center in football is Frank Ragnow. But he's out. He's on injured reserve. So he's gone. You don't have to worry about him. Their first round pick, Penei Sewell, is now at left tackle. Our old friend Halapula Vati starts at right guard. They're not very good up front, so you should be able to do some things. But we know how the Eagles are going to play on defense. The difference between Jim Schwartz and those wide 9 looks, it makes it easier to rush the passer for the front four. Jonathan Gannon runs a more tightly wound ship from a technique standpoint. It's more about discipline, keeping your pass rushing lanes. So, look, Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave are the guys who are going to have to get in Jared Goff's space and try to get him off those spots. As I said, it's pretty evident the Eagles are not going to get a huge pass rush from their edges. They haven't been getting it.
They're missing BG. They're missing BG, John.
I've always called Brandon one of the most underrated players. Forget about in Eagles history and Philadelphia history. I just don't think the fans realize how good he is. And you're seeing it every week. They cannot replace him.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Don't forget Countdown to Kickoff getting underway at Screwballs and King of Prussia. It's our Thursday night home. We're going to will this team to a win because we do not want to be that team. We'll be live here on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Got a band here tonight for the tailgate. We're sending one lucky winner out to Detroit on Sunday. So we've got all kinds of good karma in the air. Now, I don't know if the fan base is focused in yet on this football game. They're too distracted with flowers and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is, Johnny Mac, this football team needs to get a win. You do not want to be that team that gives the Detroit Lions their first win of the 2021 season and have to wake up on Monday morning and deal with it.
No, certainly not in this town, as I said. And, but we had Dave Burkett on Birds 365 this morning from Detroit. They think this is their chance to get a win. I mean, they look at this team coming in and saying they're at home. They're getting their bye off this game. Everybody's fired up from their standpoint. Nobody stopped playing for Dan Campbell. They've been in 5 of their 7 games. They had at least a chance late in the game to make a play here or there. They lost 2 games at the buzzer. That could have went either way. It's a cliche. It's a Lou Holtzism to say they're better than their record looks, but they're better than the average 0-17. Now, as you keep losing games, players start to lose confidence and they start to say, okay, when is that other shoe going to drop? But the Lions come into this game thinking this is one they should get. So it's going to be interesting because it's 2 rookie head coaches. Dan Campbell's been an interim guy, but now he's the full-time guy. And there's a lot of question marks on how they handle their job. Dan Campbell, a little bit different when you talk about biting kneecaps. Probably Philadelphia would like that. You talk about Nick Sirianni and, flower analogies, and people don't like that. They're both embattled, and again, for dumb reasons. How are they coaching? And both of them aren't coaching very well right now because their teams aren't winning. Now, a lot of that is personnel as well. I just told you about the Giants, the Lions deficiencies. The Eagles have a lot of deficiencies. But both coaches to this point, the players, the vast majority of players are still playing for them. And that's a good sign.
John, what do you expect, or how do you expect this Eagle offense to come out in this game? It was that opening series against the Raiders, a more traditional offense than what Nick Sirianni has displayed in terms of how he's called the game. What will he do now in this game without Miles Sanders? What will he do?
It's a good question. If you look at the Lions, they really don't do anything that well. So you could kind of pick your poison as far as, what you want to do as far as the game plan. If you look at him, Julian Okwara has played pretty well as an edge rusher. Trey Flowers is still there. He could be traded at the trade deadline. They're starting 2 rookie corners, and both of them, by the way, are undrafted free agents. So I got to tell you, and I know Eagles fans aren't going to like this, but when I see an NFL team with 2 rookie free agents, not only rookies but guys who weren't drafted, starting, I want to attack that. They have Michael Brockers up front. I mentioned Flowers. I mentioned Okwara. Alim McNeil, who was a 3rd-round pick that, if people remember back to the draft when Tom Donahoe wanted a player and it looked like he disagreed with Howie Roseman. That's the player he wanted, and he's playing pretty well as a rookie. So when I look at that team and I see those corners, because two of the Lions starting corners are out with injuries. They're typical starting corners, and they've had to go with rookie, undrafted guys. I got it. I got to try to get the football to Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins. Question is, can Jalen Hurts do that consistently?
Well, perhaps this is the game that we'll get an opportunity to really see that play out, yes or no, and answer the question. I don't know. The other variable, variable's the wrong word, but the other, I don't know, what you call it, an intangible, is the Deuce Staley part of the story that will play out. Fan favorite in Philadelphia. The guy that perhaps the fan base wanted to get the job. What's your thoughts about Deuce and this just playing against him and as being part of that Detroit staff?
Yeah, I mean, and Dave Phipp is out there as well. And Dave, if you saw the Rams Lions game, they ran two fake punts successfully, and they had an onside kick that was successful. So maybe that's one thing. Jack Fox is probably the best punter in football, but what are you going to do with the punter? But that's probably the best phase of the Lions right now. Um, as far as Deuce, I mean, Jeffrey Lurie wasn't going to hire him. And I think he understood that to get where he wants to go, he had to go outside of Philadelphia to take the next step in his career. And he latched on with Dan Campbell, who I think takes the assistant head coach position. A lot of times it's just a title, and there's no real power that goes along with it. Got an opportunity to talk to Dan Campbell about it on Wednesday. That's what Dan Campbell was. That's what Sean Payton did for Dan Campbell as an assistant head coach. And, his goal is to mentor Deuce Staley to put him in these positions to become a head coach down the line. So it's probably a good spot for Deuce to be in. But I mean, you got to start winning some games, or nobody's going to look at the assistant head coach of an 0-12 team uh, as a future head coach. So Deuce wasn't going to get the job here. Jeffrey Lurie wasn't going to hire him, so he left, and he should have left.
One last thought from John McMullen here on this edition of Football 24/7 across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Johnny, how hot is the seat for head coach Nick Sirianni? I asked the question, should the Eagles lose this football game to Detroit, will it get hotter in Philadelphia, or is that just all fan bluster outside of the organization?
Yeah, it'll get a lot hotter outside of the organization, a lot hotter. And it's already pretty hot outside the organization. Inside the organization, no, he's not getting fired. Um, it's as cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stuart Scott used to say. They're not firing. Now, if 2-5 turns into 2-15, I think you have to revisit that. But no, the Eagles have no intention of firing Nick Sirianni. Um, I don't think 2-5 is going to turn into 2-15. But if they lose to a winless team, yeah, outside the walls, they're going to have the torches. They're going to have the pitchforks. They're going to want blood. But I mean, come on, you wanted Doug Peterson fired. This is what you got. You wanted Jim Schwartz fired. This is what you got. You can't fire everybody every time. You can't fire everybody every 6 months. Can't do it.
Good stuff from John McMullen, Football 24/7 across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Again, don't forget, go to statesidevodka.com, use that keyword JAKIB, get 15% off of the Stateside Vodka soda. And if you're in Pennsylvania, they'll deliver it right to your door. We'll see you tomorrow morning, Johnny Mac, on Birds 365. When do you go out to Detroit? Saturday? What's your flight look like?
Saturday afternoon, 1:30ish, I believe. And then I'll be back early in the morning Monday. So it'll be a Jeff Kerr, Jody Mack day after.
Well, we'll see you on the live post-game show following the game on Sunday. And we'll see you tonight on the Countdown to Kickoff show where from Screwballs in King of Prussia, we will this team to a win, Johnny Mack. Good stuff, my brother. Thank you, man.
All right. Thanks, Krausey.
All right. See you next time.